Right now, I'm going to show you how to use this paint sprayer. So the first thing you want to do is pick your nozzle for the project that you're doing. You've got a 1 millimeter nozzle here, 1.5, 2, and 3 millimeter. The smaller the nozzle, the finer the finish. So you're going to want to use something on the smaller side if you're doing cabinets or furniture. You want to do something on the bigger side if you're doing fences or walls or something like that. But today I want a really fine finish, so I'm using the 1 millimeter nozzle. With your paint sprayer, you basically have two components. You have the paint can here, and then you have the sprayer motor on the back here. Now to remove it, what you're gonna do is push down on this little tab right here. It's beneath the trigger here. So just push down on that, and then you can twist your paint bucket here or your container, and then you can just pull off the back motor here. Now you can untwist this, and we will fill this up with paint here in a little bit. You have your dip tube that's going to be dipping into the bucket of paint here. Now you can rotate this dip tube, so depending on what you're spraying, if your angle is going to be facing down, you want that dip tube angled forward. If your angle is going to be spraying up, you want your dip tube angled backwards, so it will dip into the paint. And if you're spraying neutral or straight, it does not really matter which way that is facing. So here on the front here is your nozzle here, and there's nothing on it. So what you want to do is put your actual tip nozzle on. So there's a little groove of plastic down here. You're just going to line up the nozzle here. It's got 4 grooves around it. It does not matter which one you line up. Just line it up and push it on, and then it kind of locks into place there on its own, so it can't twist anymore. Then you're going to put on the air cap. I'll tell you more about this later, but this is going to help you with your spray pattern, and then you can put the nut on, and then the air cap kind of spins in there, and that's fine. So just kind of push that or rotate that on, and then your air cap will be locked in position. Now you have 3 different spray patterns. So here with your air cap in a vertical position, so that's these tabs of plastic here, they're vertical in line with each other. That's gonna give you a horizontal spray pattern. So think of it as the opposite of whatever this is, because there's 2 little channels of air that are gonna come together here, and that will make your spray pattern horizontal like this when it's vertical. Then you'll just unscrew it a little bit, turn your air cap, and if your air cap here is horizontal, then your spray pattern will be vertical. And then if you offset it just to the side here, then your spray pattern is going to be a circle. So it's up to you, depends on what you are painting. You can just pick the spray pattern that works best for you. Now today we're going to be priming and painting this chair right here. So I'm going to be using this primer right here. Now it does need to be thinned down. So here, this container here can hold up to 40 ounces of paint, but I'm not going to need that much for my project here. So here I've got this mixing bucket here, and I'm going to start with 16 ounces of paint, and then I'm going to add about 4 ounces of water. So there's no exact science behind this. Every paint is different. So what you want to do is consult the paint that you're using. First of all, make sure that you can thin it down, and then kind of just play with it on how much you are going to thin it. So here I'm just going to fill it up here. I'm going to get as close to about 16 ounces as I can here. And now I'm just going to add clean tap water. Now you could add filtered water. It really kind of just depends on your water. We've got good clean water here that isn't hard water, but if you had hard water, maybe you want to get some filtered water from the store. And then depending on the paint, you can also add other things. There's specific products you can get at the hardware store called Floetrol. If it is an oil-based paint, then you'll need to add some mineral spirits, but this is a water-based primer, so this is fine just adding water to it. Once that's nice and mixed up, we're gonna check the run-out time. Now, depending on what you are painting, there's a chart here, and it gives you your run-out time for the different materials that you're going to be using. Today, we're using a primer, and it suggests a run-out time between 25 and 50 seconds. There's other things that you get. So if you're gonna do like a sealer or something, or some kind of wood conditioner, a lot of times you don't need to prime or delete those. You just use them as is. But this primer, it's really thick, so it does need to be thinned down in order for the paint sprayer to work correctly. This is your viscosity cup. So essentially, it's just a cup here with a hole in it, little handle here for you to hold. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip this in here, I'm gonna hold it up, I'm gonna start a timer, and then I'm gonna see how long it takes to run out. And again, we're looking at anywhere between 25 and 50 seconds. I'm gonna start this first real quick, and I'll subtract that time as we go here. So we've got 5 seconds that we will subtract, and now we're just gonna hold it like this. Nothing fancy here, we're just gonna wait, see how long it takes to run out. And again, my timer started with 5 seconds, so I'm gonna subtract that from the final time here. And you do want a complete run out. Perfect, so that ran out. It's at about, 45 seconds or so, so that's perfect. We subtract our 5 seconds. It's within that range of 25 to 50 seconds for run out time, so this paint is good. Now we're ready to filter it. I've got my paint container, and then it does come with a couple of these filters. If you don't have any or you're out of them, you can buy these at the hardware store. You can get them online. They're just paint filters. So here you've got a little mesh here, and then it's just paper. So it's a one-time use kind of situation. Once you're done, you'll just toss it out. So you gotta hold it in here to get it started, and then you're just gonna fill it up and just let that paint go ahead and siphon through there. And the reason you do this is to catch any clumps, any debris that might get stuck and clog your sprayer. So you do want to make sure that you do this, especially if you're using a paint that's been sitting around a little while. A lot of times it's got like little paint chips and stuff that get stuck around the outside of the can that just end up getting in your paint. Now I'm gonna go clean this up real quick before it dries. And now I'm just gonna go around and prep my surface for paint. No matter what you're painting, you wanna make sure that it is ready for paint. If your surface or whatever you're painting is not primed or ready to go, no matter how good the paint is, it's not gonna stick. All right, now it's time to put our canister together. So here we're just going to take our canister here, put our sprayer in the top here, and then just screw it on. Reattach it to the motor, again, kind of just reversing the process. So on the side here, there is an arrow right here, and then on your sprayer on the motor part, there's a lock, unlock, and a lock kind of arrow here. So you just line that up with the arrow right here, push it on, push, and kind of twist, and then it locks into place. You'll go ahead and plug it in. This one's just got a 2-prong plug. Now you can go ahead and plug it in and then practice your spray here. So here on the trigger, you do have this little knob here that you can twist. So the further it comes out, it's gonna stop out on the back here, so you won't be able to pull the trigger as much. So that's gonna mean less spray. And then if you turn it in, it's gonna allow you to pull the trigger all the way, and that's gonna mean more spray. So it kind of shows here on the actual trigger itself, it has a minus arrow and a plus arrow. So just keep that in mind. I'll twist it all the way in, and then you can just manually control it with the trigger. So we've got an offset cap here, so that means it is going to spray in a circle pattern. So we're just going to try it out here. And then I'll show you here, if you loosen the nut, you twist the air cap, you close it. Now that's horizontal, so our spray pattern is going to be vertical here. And then if you wanted a horizontal spray pattern, you would loosen the cap here and then turn your cap or your air nozzles vertical there. So it's up to you. Choose the pattern that you want. I am actually going to go with the horizontal pattern. So here I'm gonna hold it about 6 to 12 inches away. I'm gonna go left to right. I'm gonna start off from the chair a little bit, and then I'm gonna spray over the chair, and then I'm just gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna try to avoid twisting my nozzle as much as possible to try to get a nice even spray. So there's our first coat. We're just gonna give that some time to dry, 30 minutes or so. We're gonna come back to add our second coat. Now in the meantime, I try to scratch the tip of my nozzle off here so the paint doesn't dry on it. And then typically I've found that just leaving it for about 30 minutes doesn't impact it. The paint doesn't have time to dry off. But what I'm doing here is I'm just cleaning off the tip here so that the paint won't dry there. So our first coat is dry. This time I'm gonna go with a different spray pattern. So here, we're gonna go vertical, up and down this way. So last time I was horizontal, I didn't like that, so I'm going vertical here. So again, we're gonna start off here, make sure So now I want to get the seat a little bit. So for this, I will tilt it forward. Let me see where my dip tube is. Yeah, so my dip tube is already forward, so that's fine. So we're just gonna lean it forward a little bit. Switching up my pattern here, I'm going to go with the circle pattern. Offset, see, like that. Try to get around the edge of the chair here. And that's really it. You know, you get the concept, so you're just going to go around, spray it until you're satisfied with the results. So let me show you how to clean up here. So again, you're going to push the tab down here. You'll rotate the back of the sprayer here, which is kind of basically the motor. Then you just pull it off here. And then you can just open up the canister here, save any paint. Now I'm pouring this back into my paint can here, but I'm gonna finish this can up doing some other projects. Do not do this if you plan on using this paint for something else. It's always recommended to save your paint that you're currently using in a separate container that you will be then using your thinned down paint for that, right? Because remember, this paint is thinned down, so now it's basically only going to be able to be used for this project that I'm working on here, which is absolutely fine because that's what I'm doing. So now we're just going to rinse this out. Once you've properly rinsed it out, what I like to do is fill it up with some warm water. And then what I like to do is put in a couple drops of Dawn dish soap, put it back on, and flush it through the gut. Then you kind of just take everything apart. Anything remaining, you're just going to remove here. Take off your nozzle here. You want to rinse that out. You get those little scrub brushes with it as well. So then you can use that scrub brush and scrub in there if any of the paint is dry and kind of caked on and not scrubbing off. And then that's it. You put it back together and then you're ready to use it for the next time. There you go. Now you know enough to use your paint sprayer for the first time with confidence. Again, this is the Vonforn Paint Sprayer. I've used it on multiple projects, have no issues with it. I think it's great for a beginner, easy to use, easy to clean up, and I have had no issues with it, so I really do like it. Hopefully that was helpful. If you want to continue along with this project, the next step for me is to let this dry completely. And basically I'm going to repeat the process with this paint right here. And it's going to be a dark gray black color. And then I'm going to put a primer, not a primer, a top coat on it, which is a polyurethane sealer to kind of finish up the project there. So I'll continue along with that. If you want to check that out, please subscribe. Check out some other videos if you like DIY around the house. My name is Drew. I'll see you in the next one.